State Director for the National Federation of Independent Business. We're a small business advocacy organization in Michigan nationwide. We have about 10,000 small business members in Michigan. We're very concerned about this legislation. You know, it's interesting, we just had Small Business Saturday. Some of you are familiar with that event. And yet, here we have legislation that is very harmful to small business in this state and in the cities that are pursuing it. As was indicated, there are 22 cities. If you're a business and you're not even located in the city, suddenly it's your responsibility to determine if your employees owe city income tax. If so, then you have to withhold. It is now between that employee and the city. It's their responsibility, the employee's responsibility, to inform the employer that they need to withhold taxes, and employers will do that readily. But what is really troubling is that a lot of small businesses still do their own payroll. I know that the proponents of this legislation have been saying, well, you know, everyone's using third-party payroll processors, so this is no big deal. No, it is a big deal. There are a lot of small businesses that use QuickBooks, they have bookkeepers, they do not use a third-party processor, and they will not be able to keep up with this. And let's talk about those third-party payroll processors for the last I looked, they are also businesses seeking to make a profit, and that's good. They're not charitable institutions. The same complexity that will impact all of these businesses here, they'll have to deal with. They're going to pass that cost on to small business and to every one of their customers as an increased cost of doing business. What this is really about is there was an old joke about John Dillinger robbing banks. They asked him, well, why do you rob banks? And he said, well, that's where the money is. Well, the money is the employer. Think about, what would you rather do if you were a city treasurer? Chase around employees? Or just, there's one business right there, you know where they're located. So let's make them responsible if their employees cheat on their taxes or don't file properly. Let's make them responsible. Let's go there. It's one-stop shop. We can go there, we can find the employer, and then the employer can go try to find the employees. We have a small business owner that has 12 employees, full-time and part-time, but he does over 50 W-2s a year. Well, why would he do 50 W-2s if he only has 12 employees? Because that's his turnover. Turnover, very common in retail and in the restaurant industries and a lot of small businesses. So now they are responsible, potentially, for all of those folks that might have only worked a couple weeks, might have worked 6 months and left. Some, for whatever reason, never showed up for work and separated from the employer in that fashion. Now they have to go track them down and figure out whether they should have withheld city income tax. It just shows you how impractical this whole thing is. Now I just want to say one last thing. Some of them are saying, well, yeah, but there's a small business exemption in this bill. If you have less than 10 employees, and I think it's less than $500,000 in payroll, well then you're exempted. Well, that's great. That's a good stratified approach to economic development. Let's make sure I'm an employer and I have 10 employees. I am not going to hire that 11th employee and suddenly find myself responsible for all of this record keeping that I wasn't before. So let's pass a law and let's suppress payroll and let's suppress job creation. That seems pretty inconsistent with what cities tell us. So with that, I will turn it over to Veronica Horn with the Saginaw County Chamber of Commerce.